Are you able to put yourself in the shoes of another person? Are you told that you are maybe sensitive or a feeler, or maybe even that you're an empath, an empathetic person? If so, I want you to stick around for today's lunchtime lesson. We're going to talk about the good and the bad of being an empath. Hi, if you are new here, welcome. My name is Chandanicole, and if you are returning, welcome back. Thank you for tuning into the third of part of this mini-series we're doing during our lunchtime lessons. I filmed this during my lunch break, so that's what we call them. And in the series this week, we're talking about aspects of our personality that we need to reflect on and consider when we are coming out of a relationship. It is always good to reflect back and figure out what part did you play. And again, it may not be something that you actually did wrong, but there may be things that you can change about your personality, about how you show up, about how you respond, that can help us deal with difficult people, deal with toxic people. And so far this week, we've covered being a people pleaser and the negative sides of that. We've also talked about being a person who's always trying to keep the peace and how that differs from being a peacemaker. And if you've missed those two videos, go back. They're all in a playlist, but check the channel and you'll find those videos. And those are going to dovetail into today's video about being an empath and the somewhat dark side that can come out of that, how very toxic and narcissistic people can take that very beautiful quality, flip it on its head, and weaponize it against you. So let's talk about it a little bit. If you are an empath, you are a person typically who has good intuition, meaning you can read people quickly. You can kind of sense how people are doing, how they're feeling, aspects of their personality just by being around them for a short period of time. You usually can be very compassionate and empathize with them, meaning you can put yourself in their position. You can imagine how they feel. And when you are able to kind of read people, see how they're feeling, and be compassionate and empathetic, you are a very strong source of encouragement for that person. You are typically a good friend, very reliable, always there for everyone else. And that is a beautiful thing. So don't misunderstand me. I am not saying that that is a bad thing. But I want to give you a warning that I wish someone had given me. And that is, unfortunately, there are people in this world that will take advantage of all those beautiful qualities. Unfortunately, there are just toxic, negative people who will take all of that and they will drain you dry. They will lean on you so much and you will be emotionally spent, and you will find yourself in a position where you're now being taken advantage of. Because a lot of times you can feel so much for another person and take on so much of what they're feeling that you yourself can start to have, mental health issues. You're down, you're depressed. That is one thing. Physically, it can affect you when it goes unchecked. See, you have to know when it is safe to be empathetic. You have to know the safe people that you can engage with in that type of, deep level of connection. Because there are people who will drain you dry. They will have you on the phone for hours telling you all of their problems. And now you're upset. You're trying to figure out a solution. You are just draining your emotional resources. And oftentimes it's not reciprocated. You know what I mean? And it becomes a magnet for people who want to take advantage of you. Empathetic people can be rescuers. We see somebody who, needs to change their life, or we need somebody who's in a bad situation. We can become rescuers, and then we can be taken advantage of because people see that, oh, you feel for them. Then all of a sudden, they're asking. And, or, they see that you feel for them, you feel sorry for them, and they flip that and figure, oh, I can just take them for everything. So I was never taught that. And it's really hard to find that balance, because if you're an empath, it is something that's just in your nature. So it's kind of hard to turn it off. But you use that same ability to read and have intuition to know when people are safe to be very connected and engaged and empathetic with. So, for example, I am a teacher. I'm a 4th grade teacher, and I work with a lot of special needs students. And a lot of these students they have tough home life situations. They may have medical conditions that make things hard for them. It's hard for them to learn. And a situation where I can look at a child and I can kind of read where they are. I can kind of see how they feel, when they're struggling to learn and get a concept. It is really hard sometimes for them to fight against if they have ADHD or if they are on the autistic spectrum. It is usually just so mentally draining for them to concentrate that then they just don't. And they just sit there and they don't want to do any work. But being an empath, my heart can go out to them. And I can judge when I need to push them to do more and when I need to back off and give them a break. That is a safe scenario to be an empath. That is a time where those qualities about you are going to be your superpower. You can make such a difference in someone's life when they are a safe person that you can engage with on that level, and you can be a source of encouragement for them on a very deep level where you can put yourself in their shoes. But then I've also had circumstances in life where very toxic people have taken advantage of all of those things, though that ability to feel what people feel. My marriage that has since ended, that it was that situation, and the person presented themselves, my ex-husband presented himself as somebody who needed rescuing. He was a victim. He was about to be put out of his house, and, he lost his job, but it wasn't his fault. And he was sick and he needed somebody to care for him and take him to the doctors. And my heart just, that is so sad, and that's a shame. And next thing you know, I'm cooking, I'm going to doctor's appointments, I'm giving money, I'm doing all of these things to support and be there for somebody. And, I'm taking time off of work to take them to a doctor's appointment. And all of that was unfortunately manipulating me and draining me dry. And I was never receiving anything in return. If I needed anything, if I needed somebody to go pick up a prescription for me, or I'm sick and, I need some soup from the store, then that was too much to ask. And I did not have, it's weird because with all the intuition that you can have about people, I did not have enough discernment to see and know that there are bad people in the world that will take your love, your care, your compassion, your reliability, and they will flip it on its head and just use it against you, drain you dry, and never fill you up. You just are giving, 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 and you're receiving nothing in return. So I ask you the question, if you are on your journey to heal and become whole and be the best version of yourself, which is what we are all about on this channel, and you are doing the hard work coming out of a negative or a toxic relationship, whether it was with family, friends, or romantic, are you doing the work? Are you looking at yourself? Are you an empath? And do you have discernment to know when it's safe to let all those beautiful qualities about you shine and come through, and when it's not, and when a person will be taking advantage of those things about you? When you can get to the point that you start to pick up on red flags, oh, hey, I need something now. They're not here for me. I need to put my car in the shop, so I need a ride to work. Oh, it's too much for them to do. Don't overlook red flags just because you want to be a good person and you want to be there for them. Because the sooner you recognize red flags, the sooner something kind of seems off, trust your gut. Say, oh, you know what? Test the waters and start saying no. Say no every now and then and see how they respond. No, I can't do this for you. Oh, I'm sorry that you're sick. I know that must, be horrible for you right now, but I'm sorry, I can't take off work today. Test the waters by saying no to a few things and see how they respond. If they respond with gratitude, you know what? That's okay. Thank you so much for all you've been able to do for me so far, all that you do for me on a regular basis. I get it if you can't get off of work today. If that's their response, they are probably a safe person. But if they respond with anger, if they respond with entitlement, then you need to go ahead and shut it down at that point. If the attitude is, well, what do you mean you can't do, you can't take off of work? Why can't you? Yeah, I know you have paid time off. You got PTO days you can use. See, that kind of behavior, red flag, red flag, red flag. You need to start to distance yourself. And it is hard because when you see people that are struggling or going through a bad time or they need assistance of some sort, it is some of our natures to rescue if we have the ability to do so, if we have the resources to help them. But there are just some people that you just have to let them be, and that's hard. It's hard to kind of watch from a distance, but remind yourself they wouldn't do the same for you. I have had situations during my marriage. In fact, when we had, everything that happened in 2020 with the C-19 and everything was shut down. When they were sick, I was on it. What do you need? When I got it, oh my gosh, I'm sitting there coughing up a lung. I'm in a bad way. They would not do anything. In fact, they just ignored me and act like everything was fine. Went to the movies, went out dancing, and I'm home like coughing up a lung. It wasn't the first time. And so that is my warning to you. See, I didn't shut it down when I saw the red flags. So take a look at yourself. Be honest with yourself. And say, if I'm an empath, that's a good thing. It is a good thing. We need more of those type of people in the world. But I have to know when it's safe and when it's not safe. So that is our lesson to wrap up this little mini series this week. It is Friday today that I'm filming this. And so we've taken a look at 3 things about ourselves that may contribute to negative, toxic relationships and things that we can begin to change about ourselves so that we don't repeat the same problems. So if you need to, go back and take a look at those other videos on being people pleasers, people who try to keep the peace, how that's different from being a peacemaker, and when not to be an empath. All right, you guys, I love you. I hope you got some value out of it. As always, if you need prayer, let me know down in the comments or shoot me an email, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye, y'all.